What's up, guys? Welcome back to Keeping Up with the X-Men, where I try my best to keep up with the X-Men. And we are tearing through the pile. It's getting less and less and less. And this one's going to be kind of rough. I'm going to be honest with you. This is the annual for X-Men Gold. This is the first annual for X-Men Gold, and probably the only one, to be fair, because I'm already receiving information that X-Men Gold is not going to make it much further. It's going to go somewhere in the 20s, and then it's going to be done. I don't know if it's supposed to change to something else, or X-Men Gold and X-Men Blue. From what I understand, both of them are supposed to be canceling out. And when that happens, I don't know if they go together and create something new, like maybe we get Uncanny X-Men back or something. I don't know, but supposedly it's done. Well, why is this one going to be rough? I have almost zero experience. I know about Excalibur, and that's about it. That's it. So I'm not sure how much I'm going to find to say on this issue, but we'll go ahead and get into it. Are you ready? Okay. Okay, first off, this is weird. Okay. It starts with an alien talking about revenge, and then it goes to the Xavier Mansion where a stork has shown up and is honking everywhere and has a baby sign on its neck. And a bunch of the X-Men are laughing and giving Kitty a hard time, like, oh, that's why you got back with Colossus and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes over and finally gets the letter off the stork, and she's like, oh, they had a baby. And, yeah, she runs and she gets Nightcrawler and Racheal. And then there's kind of a quick little quip joke where they're like, oh, how are we going to get there? And she's like, we're superheroes, we're going to fly. And then they actually fly on a plane, and Nightcrawler's pretty irritated. He's like, this is not quite what I had in mind. And then they go to this lighthouse, which is supposedly one of the old headquarters or something like that for Excalibur. They get there. They have friend conversations. They see the baby. The baby's a super genius, and he's growing up remarkably fast. He's like a newborn, but he's not. He's already reached the toddler equivalent, and he talks like an adult. So he's like a super genius. And then they go in the back. They talk to this girl about some concerns for her baby, where she says the baby's growing up too fast. He's already smarter than me. I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't take care of it, and blah, blah, blah. And then the dad talks to Nightcrawler for a while. Nightcrawler walks around with the baby. The baby asks a bunch of questions, and there's an explosion. And that alien shows up, and he's like, years ago, Racheal had the Phoenix Force, and she destroyed my planet, and I'm mad. And Racheal keeps saying, I don't know who this guy is, and I don't know what's going on. And to me, I thought this guy was from the planet that was destroyed when the Phoenix Force was actually obtained, not by her, but by Jean Grey. I thought that was the planet we were talking about. Maybe this guy was confused, but I don't know. Maybe this book has me lost. It's talking about what seems to be a major event, but I don't know what that event is. They teased the idea of the Shadowcat uniform still being at headquarters, and that Kitty could go change into it, but she doesn't. They fight with this guy. He uses his ship has Dr. Octopus robot arms, and it's all like, but it's no good because she just phases through it and the other guy just rips it apart. Then they're transferred to some illusionary planet thing a couple of times until all these little monsters start grabbing all over them and fighting them, and then they fight the monsters for a little while. They get the control. The baby utilizes the control to reset the technology to send them to a different dimension or something like that, where they see the planet that this guy's so freaked out about. And then Afterwards, they explain to that guy that they can send him to that planet. It's an alternate reality of that planet, and they can send all the survivors there, and then they can get back to their life. And so that guy's like, oh, I'm happy now, and he does that, and then they have a family happy moment, and they're like, yay, and they hug a baby, and it's over. Yeah, that's about the best I can do. This one had me very lost. I do not remember Racheal using the Phoenix Force to destroy an entire planet. That one slips my mind. I really do not remember this. And I don't know anything about Excalibur, really. So that one also leaves me in the dust. I got nothing. Yeah. There was one last story in this one, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. It's this one right here. Basically, what's going on is there's this little girl, and she's with her aunt, and she loves Storm. Storm is her favorite thing ever, and she wants to try to go see the X-Men. She hears about this disaster that's happening, and her aunt, who's a bad aunt, decides, yes, there's no reason we shouldn't drive right down into the middle of the city where Fing Fang Foom is literally destroying the city, and the X-Men are having a superhero war with Colossus throwing buses, armoring up, ink, doing all kinds of... Well, to be fair, he does quite a lot of stuff, so there's no telling what kind of explosions or I-beams or jumps or super strength or whatever he's doing, while Storm creates lightning bolts, and Kitty Pryde attempts to take care of the civilians and whatnot with her phasing and everything. And yeah, her aunt just takes her into the middle of this. It's no problem. It's no problem. I wouldn't take my kid to the middle of the Fing Fang Foom attack just so she could see Storm doing Storm things, but, you know, I guess that's whatever. So they try to go there. By the time they get there, the monster's already taken out Fing Fang Foom, and she's talking about how great that is and how they saved the city, and then this old guy's like, mutants and blah, blah, and I hate them. So they go to the Xavier Mansion to try to, like, speak to Storm directly because that's this little girl's favorite X-Man. And they get there, and the guy's like, hey, I'm an X-Man, and then she's like, no, you're not. And it's kind of weird because this little girl seems to know the X-Men almost at a comic book level. She's like, no, you're not really one of the big hitters, and blah, 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 and this and that. So then they hear about a natural museum of history that's being attacked by these mole men, and that the X-Men are there, so they go there. Once again, she takes her directly where there's some sort of assault happening, some sort of holding the city for ransom type of event. So they go there, and they don't get anything. By the time they get there, the X-Men are already hopping in the Blackbird and flying away. And then, on their way home, basically, because they're on their way out there at the Grand Central Station, and there's something that's going on, Storm lands in front of them, and they're like, oh my god, it's a Storm. So they have a big old happy thing, and they talk to Storm, and she flies them around for a minute, and they talk about how inspired they are by her, and how beautiful she is, and how awesome it is what they do for people, and that she doesn't harbor all this prejudice and everything, and she's written notes and done fan art and everything else, and she'd like Storm to have it. So she gives it to Storm, and Storm goes home and has kind of a moment where she gets to pin the artwork on the wall, and she's sitting there looking at it and everything, and well, Colossus walks up, and he's like, hey, what are you doing, Storm? And she's like, oh, just kind of reminding myself why we do this. Now, it's important every now and then to kind of show the X-Men getting a little bit of positivity, because it's too often that they're just crapped on. And it's part of the gimmick of the whole thing is that they're unappreciated for what they do and everything. But this annual, you could do without it. You could do without it. It's not that great. Didn't get my spirits up or nothing. I'm sure that there are Excalibur fans that probably enjoyed this. And to be honest, the last story, while I was reading it, it was enjoyable and it was fun. But in terms of a review and actually giving me something in depth to talk about or something to share here, there's really nothing. So you are now all caught up with the annuals of X-Men Gold. See you later.